Welcome into this special edition of the Kansas City Chiefs Report, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. I am on the road, enjoying a couple of nice off days in Los Angeles, but still wanted to give you an update on what's going on with the Chiefs in regards to the updated playoff picture after last night's Chargers and Ravens game. How are things stacking up for Kansas City? We'll go over all of that and more coming up in just a matter of moments. But before we do, folks, want to make sure you subscribe to the channel, whether I'm in the studio, whether I'm on the road, enjoying some nice off days like today. We keep you up to date on the latest happenings with your favorite team all season, all year long here on the channel with our daily news and rumors, our watch parties on game days. We're going to be doing a watch party coming up this Sunday for Chiefs and Raiders, or Friday rather. You won't want to miss out on that. It'll be right here on the channel. Subscribe now for free. Help us reach our next milestone, 63,000 subs on the channel for daily Chiefs coverage you won't find anywhere else right here on the Chiefs Report. All right, so this is how things are stacking up for the Kansas City Chiefs when it comes to the playoff situation heading into week number 13 in the National Football League. Currently, right now, the Chiefs are sitting pretty with their 10-1 record as they enter the home stretch, the run to the playoffs here. And their chances to make the postseason, obviously, we know they're in. Greater than 99% chance, according to The Athletic, in the Athletics playoff simulator. Winning the division looks pretty good as well at about 96% at this point. So those are pretty much guaranteed at this point that the Chiefs will win the division and that they will make the playoffs. So we're in good shape there. Now, when you take things a step further, it's about the battle for that number one seed in the AFC. And after the Chiefs got the win against Carolina last week, Buffalo had a bye. Here's where things stand between those two teams in the race for that first-round bye. The Chiefs currently at 65%, their chance to get that first-round bye. Meanwhile, Buffalo right now is sitting at a 31% chance. And you had that loss that the Steelers suffered last Thursday. They were kind of that third team to watch going into the week. Their chances have dropped to 1%, so they're pretty much out of it. It seems like it's basically between Kansas City and Buffalo at this point to get that number one seed from here on out as we enter this home stretch. You look at the standings of where things stack up. The Chiefs at 10-1, the Bills at 9-2, the Steelers at 8-3, the Texans at 7-5, the Ravens at 8-4 with the win they had last night over the Chargers. So you can see there's a big gap between Kansas City, Buffalo, and everyone else here down the stretch with where this is at. In the AFC standings, AFC West standings after last night, the Chiefs at 10-1, the Chargers dropped to 7-4, the Broncos at 7-5, and the Raiders at 2-9. So barring a monumental collapse from the Kansas City Chiefs, they are going to win the AFC West and make the postseason, based on that situation. But it's the race for the number one seed where things get very interesting. And you look at what the Chiefs have in their next 6 games here. You have the Raiders this week. You get the Chargers the week following. And that Raiders game, of course, on Friday at home. And then you play the Chargers on Sunday Night Football the week following at home. Then you play at the Browns. You get the Texans at home on a Saturday. You get the Steelers on the road on Christmas Day on a Wednesday. And then wrap up the regular season on January 5th with your second matchup against the Denver Broncos. And hopefully that game doesn't matter, that you're in good shape, have things potentially locked up where you don't even need to play your starters potentially for that Week 18 contest against Denver. So that's what Kansas City is looking at through that next stretch. But you'll look at the Buffalo Bills situation, and that's what we're going to talk about here in just a moment more in depth. They take on the Niners this week, which is a much different Niners team than what the Kansas City Chiefs saw several weeks ago. The Chiefs obviously got that win, but the Niners so banged up with Brock Purdy out, that makes life a lot easier for the Buffalo Bills. You take on the LA Rams following that. That one on the road, the Rams, I think, kind of got exposed last week against the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, so life gets easier for the Bills. We'll go more in depth, but the Bills have outside of one game against the Detroit Lions, a pretty favorable road these next few weeks ahead. Kansas City certainly has a much tougher path to that number one seed than Buffalo does, but Kansas City has that one-game advantage on Buffalo right now. So we'll dive in more in just a second, but let's ask you guys, do you think the Chiefs are going to hold on and get that number one seed in the AFC? Let me know why for yes and for no. Chime in, let us know what you think. Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose two or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS, and they will give you $50 to spend for free when you play $5. You don't even have to win to get the money. Simple as that, folks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. I'll be honest, not my best weekend on PrizePicks this week. I had the more on Patrick Mahomes in the game this past weekend on passing yards against the Panthers. Got that. But Xavier Legette, he had a few too many yards for me for the Carolina Panthers. But you can have better luck than me on PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. So let's look at Buffalo's situation for a moment here, all right, of kind of where things stack up heading into this final stretch. The Bills should be able to beat the Niners this week. They should be able to beat the Rams the week following. The Lions game, they have to go on the road. That is a toss-up game that could go either direction, and you probably actually lean towards Detroit in that matchup, honestly. And then you get the Patriots, the Jets, and the Patriots again. That's realistically just one tough game that the Bills have to deal with, and it's very possible the Bills could go 6-0 in these following 6 games that are ahead for that Buffalo team. So if you're Kansas City here, there's not much margin for error over the next few weeks if you want that number one seed and want that first round bye. And here's what I mean as far as things being tougher for Kansas City as opposed to Buffalo here. You play a team like the Houston Texans, for example. Houston Texans are a pretty decent football team, and they are capable of winning on any given week, even though they might not be up to expectations of what everybody was talking about going into the season of them contending for the AFC, but they're still upper echelon. The Pittsburgh Steelers on the road, going from a short week, from a Saturday game to a Wednesday game. And that's another thing, an advantage that Buffalo has compared to Kansas City. This schedule down the stretch for KC is going to be totally out of your normal realm and rhythm. A Friday game this week, a Saturday game against Houston, a Wednesday game against Pittsburgh, and then you're finishing off the regular season with that game against the Broncos, which could be a Saturday or Sunday game. We think Sunday, but we won't know until we know ultimately what that plays out. So there's not much margin for error here if you're Kansas City, because you have a one-game advantage, you have a tougher schedule, and Buffalo obviously has the tiebreaker with that head-to-head. So looking at this as well, one thing I want to keep in mind, what have we been talking about with the Kansas City Chiefs? That I think they're still a very good football team and that they're the team to beat in the NFL, and I think they're still the best team in the league. But they're finding ways to win these close, tight games, right? And with that said, it's some dangerous territory. You very well, realistically speaking, could lose any one of these games that's ahead. Even, you thought this past week, Carolina, yeah, you should win that. That's a given. It came down to the last-second field goal. Raiders, Chargers going to be a tough game. Browns, I don't think the Browns are that good, but you go on the road. Texans, we mentioned. Steelers, we mentioned. Broncos, you mentioned. I mean, realistically, like Chargers, Texans, Steelers, that's 3 tough games. Compared to the Bills down the stretch, I mean, the Niners, maybe. Rams, maybe. The only for certain tough game they have is the Detroit Lions over that stretch. So the schedule favors Buffalo here when it comes to this number one seed situation. But I still feel that this Chiefs team is going to figure it out. They might be in danger of winning that one seed, but where there's a will, there's a way. This Chiefs team's, I think, going to find a way to get it done over this next stretch. What will be the Chiefs' final record when it's all said and done? I think folks, I'm looking at maybe one more loss for Kansas City. And hopefully that one loss is you've already clinched home field and you're resting your starters against Denver, and maybe that's the one loss. And then you finish up at that point, 15-2, which would be awesome if that's the case. I can live with that, but to me, that's what my hope is, that you're going to realistically slip up one of these, and hopefully it's just the game against Denver, and you've already clinched home field at that point. For Buffalo, as they sit at 9-2, I would think they're going to beat the Niners and the Rams. I would guess loss against the Lions. The Patriots should be a win, Jets should be a win, and then Patriots should be a win. So they're looking at 14-3, maybe 15-2. So not a lot of room for error for Kansas City, but we'll see how things stack up. Get your predictions in. Let us know what you think the final record will be for the Kansas City Chiefs here to wrap up the regular season here with just a few weeks left to go. The run of the playoffs fully on. We'll be all over it here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Make sure and join us coming up Friday for our Chiefs and Raiders watch party. We'll do an hour-long pregame show. That game gets started at 2 local time, so we'll go on the air at 1 o'clock right here on the channel with our hour-long pregame show. I'll be here. Big Tex is going to join me. You won't want to miss out on that. Chiefs and Raiders watch party right here on the channel. About to sign off here, but our final update from Los Angeles. Enjoyed the last couple days. Had a great time at that Chargers-Ravens game last night, and I'll be back in studio tomorrow, so don't miss out on that for continuing Chiefs coverage. Subscribe to the channel, lock us in, and we'll see you back in studio tomorrow, and then we'll have our watch party coming up on Friday. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your Thanksgiving week holiday, and we will see you next time right here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. I'm Tyler Jones. Appreciate you joining us. So long.